Yo, what's happening everybody? King GBL here, and welcome back to a brand new Go Bat Like video. Today I'm going to be trying the newly buffed Lanturn. I know that sounds a bit funny, but we're trying the newly buffed Lanturn double ghost team. This team is working a lot better this season in my personal opinion, just because of how the meta has shifted, how grass types are a lot more free in the meta. We don't have as many NOCTOWLs. I don't think I've seen a single Altaria since the update, and generally the only flyers we're really seeing is Gligar. Lanturn can deal with Gligar, of course, with Surfs. You do pace to the Surfs a little bit slower now, but you can still eat a dig and deal with Gligar, so Lanturn is still a good anti-flyer. And of course with the Spark buff or nerf, it has worse energy generation now, but of course has more damage, 2 more damage and 1 less energy generation I believe. What I found with this Pokemon was it was a lot easier to farm stuff down and farm stuff into Thunderbolt range. So Lanturn is just a different Pokemon. A lot of people have different opinions that they've buffed it or that, you know, it actually is nerfed. If you think about what Lanturn's supposed to do, it's supposed to be an anti-flyer, so with the Spark buff, it can deal with flyers probably a little bit better. Like you can Spark Altaria into Thunderbolt range, and you can farm things down a lot easier. I think with the Spark damage, you'd be able to pretty much one-shot NOCTOWL now, whereas it wouldn't quite one-shot, or it would be a little bit tricky to farm down. You would have to eat 2 Shadow Balls. So in that respect, for farming stuff down, definitely is a lot better. But against its hardest counters, it's definitely a lot worse. It's much worse against things like Quagsire, Swampert, Diggersby, Galarian Stunfisk, which I haven't actually seen any of, to be honest. I might have seen one, but generally speaking it's much worse against its counters, and that's kind of what made it OP. It used to be super good against Swampert, like you can 2-shot a Shadow Swampert and you paste the moves almost the same. You can eat an Earthquake and the opponent is forced to bait you in that matchup. That's what was making Lanturn super overpowered, so I think pacing to the moves a little bit slower is nice, but also the extra spark damage gives it completely different play. Anyway guys, let me know in the comment section down below. Today's question is, in your opinion, is Lanturn nerfed? Is it buffed? Or is it like just a side grade, like a different type of Pokemon? Let me know in the comment section down below. Last night I went really positive with this team. I was up watching United versus Arsenal. Unfortunately we got clapped up 3-1. But I was playing these battles while watching the match, and I won 80% of my matches with this team in 2 sets, 8 out of 10. And in this first set you're watching, I think I played really well and I overcame a lot of counters. In the second set that you're going to watch, I played like a bit of a potato. Those were my first games in the second set that we're going to watch. So if you do enjoy my type of content where I point out my mistakes and we try to learn from things, we can definitely do that in this video. With all that being said folks, I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe. It is absolutely free. And we're only about 36 subscribers away from 2.7k on the channel. So if you do that today, it's absolutely free, helps me out a ton. And big thank you and shout out to everybody who has been subscribing, liking, commenting, joining Discord. You're all amazing. I love you. Thank you very much. And let's hop on into the battles. So we have Defense Dirty D, as I like to call him. I do like to have my own little funny names for these Pokemon. And then comes Spammy Little Greedent. This thing is just a spam machine, man. Like, it gets to these body slams in 4, crunch in 5. It doesn't hit particularly hard, but Sableye gets a defense drop. You absolutely hate to see it. I decided to YOLO the return. I don't think 2 Fell Plays is enough here, and I think I was pretty much correct in that assumption. Just because of the fact that Shadow Claws are resisted, so we're offering no fast move pressure, so we're basically relying on these charge moves to actually get this done. So I'm thinking like 2 Fell Plays probably won't work. Returning a Foul Play is probably decent enough here. I do shield and fire off another move, which is questionable I suppose, but I did want to get some shields down here for Trevenant and Lanturn. Now at this point I think I'm going to commit to the Spark down. As you can see, these sparks are really adding up. Had it been last season, you would definitely notice that these are doing a lot less damage. Even though this thing's in Mud Shot, it's not really completely destroying my Lanturn, so I think I can comfortably farm this down. It's not comfortable of course because I'm getting pretty low, but I do want to keep this energy and try to put it to good use against Dirty D. So in comes the Thunderbolt. This will of course chunk it, and we're going to come into Trevenant. I do end up, you know, inadvertently catching the Psycho Boost here, which, you know, it's not the greatest thing in the world. And in comes Gligar. So I mean, like, this is just a tough game. I think maybe I could have held on to my energy and just went straight into Trevenant, because, you know, either way, like, I'm going to be able to one-shot it with Trevenant. So I think holding on to that energy could have been a little bit better. The opponent goes for a nice undercharge, because we were, you know, of course, on a decent amount of energy in Lanturn. We're 1 off the Surf. So the opponent's playing this just perfectly. I don't think there's a really win con here at this point. I'm just playing this out, I guess. But yeah, I think maybe that was the win con. It was a pretty hard team for me. Deoxys is just kind of tricky. I top left. ICMP top left on the Psycho Boost. You get extra points if you do that. This is a very tricky lead for my whole team. This thing, I think Sableye can beat it, and Lanturn can beat it in like the Zero Shield. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to play it out in the zeros. I'm going to fire the Thunderbolt. The opponents never usually expect you to do a Thunderbolt, because Surf, you know, it seems pretty decent enough, right? Like, I think that's definitely like an improvement in this Pokemon. Yeah, so actually we don't even win the zeros. They go for Ice Punch here. But I'm happy enough with this. That's like a big core breaker out of the way. I just need to hope for no NOCTOWLs, And like I said, in this meta, you're not really seeing a ton of NOCTOWLs. Now, I think if we're in good timing here, it's always a little bit tricky on the swap. We go for the return, the opponent shields up the return. Let me know, guys, do you use SABE this season? I think it's very good this season. And if you notice, guys, Emeralds are shielding up returns like crazy. And we go for the swap, in comes Frostlass. I'm going to go straight for the Seed Bomb. If we get this off, we can look to farm it the whole way down. And the opponent knows it's not a Shadow Ball, so they may be inclined to let it go. But that will cost them their Frostlass, basically. Interesting team, Azumarill Frostlass backline. I really do want to try Frostlass again quite soon. Now, can we actually get this win here? We do have SABE and we do have TREVENANT. The opponent's going to be getting really close to a player off here. Can I get to the move? No, they just fired off here. So the opponent should be dry. I actually want to take a look at this. So the player off the first time around is 6 and then 5. They're going to be getting really close to this move. I farm up to 7 here, which is optimal timing. I believe they're only 1 off the player off. They literally just died with the move. So that was a super, super close match. Very tricky team there, to be fair, but we did manage to overcome that, and that's a good game. Very happy with that win. In comes Lanturn versus Swalot. Quite an interesting match. This thing knows Mudshot, Ice Beam, and Sludge Bomb, but this thing is so bulky that I'm not really worried about the damage too much here. I'm happy enough to try and land a couple of moves. Now, I wasn't sure which move I should be going for here. Sometimes it's better to go for 2 or 3 surfs. Sometimes you need a Thunderbolt and a surf. I'm looking here and I'm thinking maybe 2 Thunderbolts would take it out cleanly, but I do decide to safe swap. It is an ABB style team. We do need to sort of do a check for flyers. The opponent's staying in here and they throw a resisted or a Sludge Bomb, so that's very, very good for me here. Ice Beam coming through, does a lot of damage, and in comes their own SABE. Now at this point, we can look to get off 2 foul plays, which will look to get the opponent super, super low and put them into Shadow Claw range. The opponent basically has to shield this, and I'm so happy we're seeing this on SABE. The opponent lets it go. If they had have known we had TREVENANT in the back, that would have been a double shield. If they had have read my team, because Lanturn double Ghost, it's not an uncommon team. It was usable last season. In comes Greninja, I get a Shadow Claw through and come into Lanturn. Now, what I decide to do here, I think, is let this go, because I know I can live this move, and it's going to be hard for them to shuriken me down. We go for an overfarm here as well. I'm expecting the opponent to go for a catch here at some point. Yeah, so back in comes Swalot. We're going to look to get rid of this thing, because we can't really afford to eat any more charge moves. They do actually go for the shield. We're going to go for another move. I don't think the opponent's going to double shield here. They need to keep a shield for Greninja, but they double shielded. And at this point, it's just basically game over for the opponent. Now, the opponent does have an Ice Beam. Which move should I shield? I know I can live this Ice Beam, and I need to keep a shield for spamming Greninja, right? This thing gets to the move so quickly. We do get off the Seed Bomb, and that's a good game well played. Maybe I could have shielded the Ice Beam and lived the Night Slash, but I just wanted to sort of play it safe. I know Swalot's a less hard-hitting Pokemon, and with a non-stop Ice Beam, I thought that was the safer no shield. It forces the opponent to build up to quite a lot of energy to take me out, and very happy with that win. Definitely overcoming a few little tricky matches here, and Lanturn versus Galvantula. Once again, quite tricky. I think I will look to safe swap here eventually. I could come into TREVENANT and try to eat a resisted move, but safe swapping TREVENANT, even without NOCTOWL in the meta, is just not really recommended. I think what I'm going to try and do here, get a shield off the opponent, and then come to SABE and look to basically start farming them down. These Shadow Claws are absolutely tearing through this thing. I'm expecting them to dump the discharge. I swear to you, every time you think they're going to discharge and shield, it's a lunge. Every time you think it's a lunge and let it go, it's a discharge. That's just how the Pokemon works. In comes Ice Punch. I knew that was just an Ice Punch. They only farmed up to 5, and I know I can survive that move and get off 2 of these moves. And you're going to see, once this foul play goes through, this will get them into a range where this thing is actually manageable. Sandslash is a bit of a core breaker for this team, and what I'm going to decide to do is come into Lanturn here, force them to throw energy, and then come in and try and sweep it with TREVENANT. We will have to eat a couple of super effective Shadow Claws, but at that point, we'll be up a shield, and we'll be able to sweep the match, hopefully, with TREVENANT here. The opponent does not get to a move. I think there were 1 Shadow Claw off, and in comes Drapion. This is just a hard counter team from front to back, but however, you're going to see that Shadow Ball does a lot of damage to Drapion. Now, I'm anticipating the opponent to go for a catch here. They threw after, I thought it looked like it was 4 to me. I might have to watch this back. I'm anticipating the catch. We're going for a huge overfarm here, right until they get to the move. That's absolutely vital because the opponent would be able to outpace this. We're going to get to the Seed Bomb just in time. I believe that was a CMP tie, and I played that match absolutely perfectly to get that win. Good games, very well played. And for a pretty rough hard counter team, I'll definitely take that. The opponent closes their app because I think they realize they probably should be winning that game. So I understand getting mad in that situation, and that's a good game well played, guys. Good games to the opponent. So yeah, let's talk about the team a little bit. I really do like this team this season. We do have a lot more ground types, and we don't have as many targets for Lanturn. But I think in neutral matches, Lanturn is looking quite strong, actually. And even in this matchup right here, like, we can comfortably eat the Shadow Ball. and look to fire off a Thunderbolt. And I don't think the opponents really necessarily expect Thunderbolts off you. The opponent tries to CMP me on 8, so at this point they're on 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so up to an Avalanche at this point. We're going to YOLO the Thunderbolt, and boom, that actually almost takes them out. And look, we know this is only an Avalanche. We were counting. We know this is only an Avalanche. And once again, you're seeing how Spark is better. I bank the Surf, and we come into Swampert. This is a very negative matchup for SABE, but we definitely can look to chip this thing, and we can need a Hydro Cannon. At this point, I try to go for the kill shot, thinking the opponent might look to let it, you know, a one foul play go. I unfortunately miscount on CMP. I'm not sure if it was laggy on my side or what was going on, but I somehow CMP'd that. That was pretty terrible. I thought I was only going to be able to get off one move there, and I do end up shielding it, so we've got this pretty low. I think I'm pretty satisfied with the situation at this point, and what I'm going to look to do is come in with TREVENANT and look to go for a farm down. We'll see what the opponent decides to do. Now, if the opponent decides to chip here, that would do a lot of damage. We come into Lanturn here, farm up to the Thunderbolt, and I'm hoping that I can force them to throw here at this point. If they get a farm down, it's a little bit tricky. They do get a farm down, so they're up to, what, 4 or 5 wing attacks. But the thing is, we can just comfortably shield this Dragon Claw Bait, go for the Shadow Ball, and look to take out the Swampert. So this is really no problem at all. I think just getting that Swampert low enough into a farm down range was all I really needed to accomplish. I think by throwing the return, it made the opponent overfarm, which might have cost them in a way. But I think, you know, throwing the foul play was a lot better. So we go 4-1 in that set. Good games, well played, and we're going to hop into this next set. We're going to see some questionable potato plays here. But, you know, it wouldn't be one of my videos without some questionable plays here. So let's see what happens. I think this is whenever I just hopped on. It was like midnight. I was sort of half watching the match, half playing. In comes Bastiodon lead. So, pretty decent for me. These sparks are adding up a lot more, you can definitely tell that. And in comes Victory Bell. We come into TREVENANT. I think in the future, if you ever get in this situation, if you use this team, I don't think it's a bad idea to chip it before you leave it. Because, like, they can just basically Razor Leaf through your shit. So, I definitely think that's a resisted chip and dip, because you see they're getting quite low. And, like, one Thunderbolt or one of the other moves, sorry, I can't finger it now. One Surf would have taken it out from here. Back in comes big smelly Basti, and at this point they're ahead in energy. I'm going to go for the Surf after 1 here so they cannot catch, throwing good timing as well, and of course optimize energy. And we're going to see what the opponent wants to do here. I know I can live this move, so I'm happy enough to let this go, and it's going to be hard for them to smack on me the whole way down. So I'm going to go for an overfarm here, and like I said, throw once again on good timing. I thought I was going to go for an overfarm, but we're looking to get rid of this thing. We both insta-swap, and it's Swampert. So again, Swampert does straight beat SABE. I have to let the first move go, force the opponent to build up to back-to-back, and at this point we're going to make the correct play and go for foul plays. We're not going to go for the return. That was a little bit ambitious last game going for the return, but we do go for foul play this time. I do try to get off the move. It is a CMP tie, unfortunately, and I sort of do want to get rid of this here. Generally speaking, once you Shadow Claw it down, they can't really, they can just about live this move, but it's not very comfortable for them, and as you can see, we can just claw them down at this point. So SABE can win that in the one shield. The opponent cannot really afford to eat the Shadow Claws plus the move, and we're going to look to take out Bastiodon here at this point. Good games, Wallface, get out of my game, and let's hop on to the next one. Always happy to beat that team. I was expecting it to be Medicham, but of course they're using Swampert this time around. Now, in comes an interesting lead here. It is Steelix. If they YOLO the Earthquake, of course that'll look to one-shot. And it looks like the opponent's looking to try and build up here. I mean, you would always expect to beat it, but you never know. Some people do like to YOLO the move. And especially whenever they let the first move go, that makes me think they're going to go for it. I go for a really ambitious catch on TREVENANT, and they YOLO the Earthquake. I was so happy. I was actually pissing myself laughing at this point, but they actually YOLO the Earthquake on TREVENANT. I was laughing so much, bro. I found that so funny. That Earthquake catch is just hilarious, to be honest with you. I'm going to let this go. I'm going to try to farm it down. I know this is Breaking Swipe, of course, so that'll take us out, but we've got a shield off them, and I'm hoping that SABE can sweep this game. They have to have some sort of answers for Medicham in the back, so I'm hoping that it might be a flyer or something like that. In comes Breaking Swipe. Very, very easy to let that move go, and I'll be happy enough to swap out. I swap out and they swap out at the same time. Bro, this game is just hilarious. If they had just stayed in there, that was probably game over. But I think I probably could have got them low enough with Thunderbolts and Sparks that I was probably in a decent enough position there anyway. But I really needed to clear my debuff, so I just insta-swap. They swap into Medicham, and at this point we're going to get them low enough. We go for a Surf here, which will look to close to take them out, and it'll allow us to get a little bit of a farm down with SABE, which is what I want. I think the opponent denies me, which of course is always fun. Now, I don't think they're going to get to enough moves on Venusaur. I don't want them to Ice Punch me and allow them to farm me down, so we're going to see how this goes here. We're going to YOLO the foul play. This will not take out, and the opponent sort of has to call this move. They do call it, but at this point we can farm them the whole way down. Shadow Venusaur is not known for its bulk, and That's a good game. A very funny game, and I did promise you some potato plays. We're swapping lanterns into Venusaurs in this game, so good games, and yeah, definitely an interesting one. We've got the mirror match here. I almost never win CMP in my Lantern. As you can see, the IVs are 0, 13, 11. Very, very low attack Lantern here. More often than not, I do lose CMP, and I'm wondering what the opponent has. Could this just be the BBML line from last season and the season before? Lanturn, NOCTOWL, Medicham? Are people still using that team? And actually, it's a team that I do sort of want to try it myself. What I decided to do here is an interesting play. I decided to go for the Surf because I know they'll let it go. And then I want to go for a safe swap here into Trevenant. I know, safe swap Trevenant. It's not what you would see every day. I'm going to go for the bait this time, because I think the opponent definitely shields us up here. Yep, we do get the shield off the opponent. And, you know, Trevenant is a little bit safer on the swap these days with less NOCTOWLs, so you don't really get as punished for this. Generally speaking, I don't recommend doing this, but you can get away with this a lot more. And we're going to go for the Shadow Ball. I think the opponent will try to call a bait as a win condition here, and of course that will allow them to get off another move. We'll see what the opponent comes back in with. It is a Azumarill. Trevenant basically beats this entire team. It beats Venusaur, beats Azumarill, and of course it beats Lanturn. It can beat every Pokemon, but it does beat the entire team in general here. What I'm going to like to do is go for a catch on Lanturn here, and try to preserve Trevenant as much as possible. Because of course that is, you know, we can come in with Sableye. Sableye's no problem here at all. But like a Lanturn, I'm pretty happy with what we've done with it, and they do have a Lanturn of their own. Now, I'm going to let this move go. I know it could be a Thunderbolt, but I think I can farm this the whole way down. Yeah, we do farm it down with one more Shadow Claw. I'm going to go straight for this move. Insta-throwing Andy here, throwing in bad timing. You love to see it. But I don't need to do anything too fancy here. All I need to do is go for a foul play at this point. But you know, of course, we're going to throw the correct move at all times. We could throw the foul play here, but we want to go for better. We want to go for the return. And of course I knew that a foul play would take out from this range, but we do want to go for better here. Why go for foul play when you can go for return? Good games well played, and we're kind of trolling a little bit here. At this point, I'm watching United versus Arsenal. United have just scored a goal. Arsenal scored a goal a minute later. That was such a terrible game, to be honest with you. United got like 2 players injured. It was a bloody nightmare. It was a nightmare. So I think this is an interesting game. I might be messing this game up here. Let's have a look here. In comes Lickitung. I don't have a good answer for this, so this is a bit of a core breaker to be fair. And I know I can live a Power Whip, and I think like this is generally where I do want to see Lickitung in this team, because we do have Trevenant for the other things still. So I think staying in here is probably not a bad idea. More often than not, you don't expect Lickitungs to bait, so we do shield up the Power Whip correctly. I'm going to go for another Surf here. I thought that 3 Surfs would be the correct play here in this situation, which it does turn out to be the case. Maybe I could have actually sparked it down with a Thunderbolt, and wouldn't have had to have eaten this move. But I don't think I was getting the spark down in time. The opponent goes for another Power Whip. We're going to go for a slight overfarm here in this situation. Maybe could have overfarmed by 1 or 2 more, but I was just playing it safe. I wasn't quite sure of the energy in that situation, and in comes Sableye. Now, I commit to the Thunderbolt. That's a huge mistake. Just get off that chip damage. That chip damage would have been absolutely huge here. That was definitely the biggest mistake I made this game, and we unfortunately lose CMP. So, you know, a mixture of unfortunate and, you know, slight misplay in that situation. I think that's what probably is going to cost me that match, just not getting that move off. Because look how low we're getting this thing, you know, up a shield. If we had have landed a Surf and the opponent makes a really nice catch on a Azumarill, I am thinking this might give us a slight win con here. We might be able to overfarm with Trevenant, but if the opponent's an Ice Beam, it's just basically over. My only sort of play here is to let this go, and, you know, it's just basically game over for me. So I think sometimes in Go Battle League you misplay, and that was definitely the Surf situation, and sometimes the opponent plays well. They've done a really nice catch, so sometimes you just have to say, you know, hats off to the opponent, well played, and of course analyze your own mistakes and see what you could have done better. But guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, very much appreciated. Like I said, we're only about 30 subscribers off 2.7k, and I do appreciate all the support in the videos. Hope you all have a fantastic day. I'm going to try and upload twice today, so if you have made it to the end of the video, let me know if you do want to see a double upload. Thank you everybody, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.